Is investing in a foreclosed home a smart move? Hey guys, it's Philip, and I've been buying houses for over 20 years. And I've bought everything from pre foreclosures, foreclosures, subject to lease options, every type of deal that you can imagine, doing buy, fix, and flip to buy and hold to buy and rent. And over the years, I've bought houses through foreclosure. And people ask me all the time, Philip, when is the best time to buy a house? Do you actually go to the auction and buy the houses at the foreclosure auction? And I thought when I got started that that was the way to go as well. And I remember like it was yesterday, about 20 years ago, my brother and I, we would go to the foreclosure auctions and we were surprised because a lot of these buyers were there literally with briefcases, which we would assume at that young age that they had cash or cashier's checks ready to buy those houses. And they probably did, because here's the thing. When you buy a foreclosed home at the foreclosure auction, you have to be ready to pay cash for that house the same day. Another disadvantage of buying a house at the foreclosure is that you didn't get to see the house. So you're going to an auction, you saw the house posted for auction, you maybe drove by and took a look at it from the outside, but you don't get to actually go look at the house. So you're buying a property sight unseen and praying for the best. Okay. So what is a foreclosed home? Another option that you have is when a house gets foreclosed on, if there's no buyer at the auction with a briefcase full of cash to purchase that property, then the house typically goes back to the bank. Okay. So the way a foreclosure works and what happens is a seller quits paying their mortgage for whatever reason they can no longer afford the house. And when they quit paying for their mortgage, the mortgage company will file foreclosure. And then the house will go to auction, meaning that the bank is going to the foreclosure auction. They've posted all the legal notices that they have to post, and then they're going to auction off that property to the highest bidder. So when they go to the foreclosure auction and they start the bidding process, the first bid is typically the bank bidding exactly what the seller owes the bank. That's what they get to bid. So they bid the amount. So whatever amount that the bank is owed is what they bid. And then if there's no other bidders in there to make an offer higher than that bid and start bidding the property up, then the property goes back to the bank. The bank is the highest bidder. Okay. So what happens if there's no bidders, then that house becomes owned by the bank. And that's what we're talking about here right now in this article, is that what is a foreclosed home? So that's typically what it is. It's a house that actually went to foreclosure. The bank did not get another bidder, and now the bank owns that in what's called a real estate owned portfolio, or an REO portfolio. And then the bank will actually put the house on the market for sale. So now you actually get to go to the property. You get to see the property and take a look at it and see what condition it's in, and to make a decision on what you're willing to pay for that property, right? So there are advantages to buying houses that have been foreclosed. And this brings up the positives and the drawbacks of purchasing these foreclosures, these REOs, okay? So one of the advantages that you get to take advantage of is that typically the bank is going to sell the house below market value. Okay. So they've already taken the property back. Usually the seller, when they were in a situation where they couldn't pay the payments, they also couldn't keep up the maintenance and upkeep. So a lot of times these houses aren't in the top condition that we would want them to be in. So this gives us an opportunity to buy the house below market value and then do the renovations and get it up to market value so that you can make your profit when you sell the property. Okay. So that's one of the most obvious positives about a foreclosed home, is that we're going to purchase it below market. And when we're negotiating with a bank to purchase it, there's no emotion with the bank. It's all numbers. It's all numbers on a screen. It's just math. And they don't have that emotional attachment that you would get if you were dealing directly with the owner of the property. So you can buy the house. A lot of times the bank will even sell it for less than what the seller owed or what they foreclosed on it for. So they're actually going to sell it for a fair market value. Okay. So this brings up the second advantage, which is the potential for a really, really great return on investment. And what's a return on investment? If I put up $100,000 to purchase a house and then I sell it for 150, I made a $50,000 profit. Well, the return on my $100,000 investment is a $50,000 profit. then that's a 50% return on investment, right? So when we're buying a house below market, that's how we calculate what our return on investment. How much cash did we have to outlay to actually buy the house, fix it up, and then sell it? And then how much profit did we make? And you divide those two numbers, and that gives you your return on investment. And I can promise you this, when you're investing in real estate and you're doing these flips, you're going to get a way better return on investment than what you would get if your money was just sitting in the bank or sitting in a bank CD or in the stock market, God forbid, going up and down and going through that process of never knowing how much your return on investment is going to be. And then the other thing to consider is that when you're buying a foreclosed home, you do have some really good financing alternatives and financing options. And typically when I'm buying a house all cash or a foreclosed home or a real estate owned by a bank, we're going to buy that property with private money or with a hard money lender. So private money is basically friends, family, somebody that you know, that you do business with, or somebody that already likes and trusts you, that wants to get involved in real estate, but they want to be a passive investor. They don't have the time to go look for deals, make offers on deals, look at houses all the time, find a contractor, get the house renovated, and do all of that active work that it takes to flip a house. So when I work with a private investor, this is somebody that has investment capital that's not earning them a really good return on investment, and they would like to be involved in real estate so they can put up their money for us to purchase a property below market. We'll fix the property up and sell it, and then they get a return on their investment for partnering with us as our private investor. Another source is hard money, and hard money is essentially basically a lender that's versed in real estate that is going to be lending you like a construction loan. Okay. So they're going to give you the money to purchase the house. They'll hold the amount of money that it's going to take for you to renovate the house in escrow. And as you make the repairs, they'll release those funds. So they're partnering with you as a form of a lender, and they'll loan you the money for, 6 months so that you can buy the house, fix it up and sell it, or you can buy the house, fix it up, refinance it with permanent financing to keep it. And that's one of the strategies that I love to do. We buy the house with private money or hard money, we fix it up, we get it generating income with a tenant or on Airbnb, and then we refinance out of that loan, out of that hard money loan, or pay the private lender off, and then we have the property and we can rent it out until we decide to sell it or keep it, just depending on how good it's doing. Some of the disadvantages of buying a foreclosed home, obviously you really want to do your research and make sure that you're making a sound investment. So when you're dealing with the foreclosed home, like I talked about earlier, if it's already owned by the mortgage company, then you get time to do your due diligence, and you want to make sure that you make an offer. You have to get the house under contract first, right? But during your inspection period, have a professional go over there, have a contractor go over there, go look at the property and see exactly what it's going to take to renovate that property, right? So do as much of that research as possible, okay? And to make sure that there's no surprises, that, you want to find out why the house got foreclosed on. Was there a problem with the property that made the seller not be able to pay it or sell it? Is there any added liens on the property, IRS liens, code enforcement liens, and things like that? And the title, when you're buying through a title company, the title company is going to do a lot of this research for you during that due diligence and inspection period that you have. So you want to make sure that you look at everything, get the estimates, and get multiple bids from whoever's going to be doing the work for you. Okay. Another thing with buying a foreclosed home is that the renovations and repairs and the maintenance can run wild. They can get really expensive. And if you haven't gotten and done your due diligence, you might be surprised when there's additional things that weren't disclosed, because when you're buying from the bank, they're selling it as is. Okay. They're not going to give you a property and they don't know the condition of the house. So they're not going to know if there's any surprises, if there's foundation problems or plumbing problems, different things like that, because they foreclosed on the property from whoever was living there before. That person would know, but they don't have to disclose what they don't know. Right. So always be prepared for those surprises, and, put it in your budget, have a 20 or 30% extra just in case there's things that come up after you start the renovation process. The other disadvantage with buying the foreclosed homes is that can be a very, very slow process. There's nothing quick about dealing with the bank and buying a house that's an REO. Sometimes they're going to list the property on the market, and they're going to try to list it at retail value, right? So you have to watch those properties and wait for them to drop the price a little bit. And every time they drop the price a little bit, then you can go in and make your offer again. And, just remember, it's going to take a lot of follow up. It's going to take looking at a lot of properties, and it's going to take a while to find one, especially if you're in a seller's market like what we've been in. But right now, I know as we move into a recession, the market shifts a little bit, interest rates have gone up, then this is going to bring opportunities again for these foreclosed homes to take longer for the bank to move them, thereby getting them down to that price range where we need them, to where we can actually make a sound investment to be able to purchase the property, fix it up, and have some equity built in by doing all of that work. So the takeaway basically today is that foreclosed homes, there are a fair amount of advantages, but there are also those disadvantages. But one thing is for sure, you must study the market and the location where you're wanting to buy these properties in. You have to prepare plans for the present and for the future. Okay. You also do not want to hesitate to ask for help from an expert, especially if you're still new into the real estate business. One of the things that I love to do, and I teach my clients and my coaching clients and partners, is that if we can get ahead, if we can go meet with the seller who's actually going to lose their house to foreclosure and try to purchase it from the seller in that short window from when the bank initiated the foreclosure and before the foreclosure happens, it's going to be a much easier process, because here's the thing, you're going to be helping a seller that's in a situation that they don't want to be in. They're losing their property to foreclosure because they haven't been able to maintain it and they haven't been able to pay for it. So if you can show up as a person that's there to help them find a solution, to see if there's any alternative to a foreclosure, can they save their house and maintain it and keep it? Can they get a forbearance or a loan modification or work out a new payment plan with the bank? Can they borrow money from friends and family? Or are they really in a situation where they need to sell? We can buy the property from the seller prior to the foreclosure. So looking at the pre-foreclosures and people that are behind on payments, we get to actually see the property. We can go meet with the seller. We can see the property. We can see the condition. And if we can buy enough time and get the seller what they need to be able to purchase that property pre-foreclosure, that's what I'd prefer to do. I don't want to buy a house sight unseen at an auction. I'll buy a house from an REO from a bank, but it's going to take months. It's going to take 2, 3, sometimes 6 months before the bank comes to reality and gets the price down to a price point where we can actually purchase it. And when you're dealing with a seller directly before the foreclosure, there's times where you can actually do some really creative things with the financing that's already in place. You don't have to pay that bank off. Maybe you can reinstate the loan and bring the loan current and take advantage of the 3 or 4% interest rate loan that they had in place instead of paying a private investor 10, 12, 13% returns, right? So there's also advantages to buying the house pre-foreclosure. And that's what I like to do. That's what I love to coach my clients. But we can also watch that property. If we can't get the deal at the pre-foreclosure, then there's the next chance, which is at the auction. So think about that. Let's say we can't make a deal with the seller, but we did get the chance to look at it. And we know that the price that's going to be offered at the auction is cheap enough for us to purchase it. If we can't strike a deal with the seller, then we could go to the foreclosure auction, because now we've seen the property and we have the confidence to bid on the property, right? But you have to have your cash in place if you're going to buy at the auction. Remember, you have to fund that the same day. So line those funds up with your private money or hard money lender. So that's what I've got for you guys today. I hope you've enjoyed this quick tip on rather foreclosed homes are a good, smart move. And if you want to learn more, talk more, I'm here. Just follow me. And I'm always going to be adding value, bringing new tips every single week like this, so that you can get started on your dream towards financial freedom with real estate investing. So if you're looking for a coach or a mentor, somebody to partner with, I'm always looking for great people to work with that I can take and help get to where you're trying to go as partners, because I believe that you can get there a lot faster and you can go a lot further with good people that you know, like, and trust, that you can work together. So go out there and make it a great day, guys, and let's bring some real estate opportunities and help you achieve your dream of financial freedom. God bless you guys. Make it a great day.